Hey guys, this is an intro. Shout out screen! Guys, don't forget, if you want a shout out, all you have to do is when you see this basketball emoji on the screen, all you have to do is comment down below in the comment section when you saw it, when you saw the basketball emoji, and we could give you a shout out. So, yeah. Doesn't happen very often, but I mean, it happens sometimes, so yeah. Try to find it. It's not always at the same time. So, peace. Guys, this is the biggest what-ifs of the 2020-2021 NBA season, and we are starting off with DeMarcus Cousins. And DeMarcus Cousins, he's not even on an NBA roster right now. And just to think, like 2 or 3 years ago, he was like the best center in the entire NBA, or arguably at least. And you know, the injury slowed him down. And I think probably my favorite player, my second favorite player of all time is probably Pelicans Boogie. I like Boogie. He's definitely a top 15 favorite of all time. Not best of all time. Favorite. And, like, he played for the Warriors, got injured. Played for the Pelicans, got injured. And then for the Lakers, he tore his ACL. So, he was supposed to play this season. He's supposed to make a super team with the Lakers, but, you know, he didn't. They released him. And now we're going on to our next player, which is going to be John Wall. He's making a lot of money. One of the highest paid players in the entire league. But he kept getting injured. Like, he hurt his Achilles, tore his Achilles, right? He's been out for like a year, almost. Like, over a year. So, he's supposed to come back. He's either going to come back as like John Wall and average 26 points per game, become an all-star, and be on an all-NBA team. Or, he's probably going to make the dunk contest too. Or John Wall could come back averaging 16 points, not be as good, but pretty good, not all-star, but pretty good to the point where the Wizards are like, that's our guy, we're keeping him. You know, Bradley Beal's a star now, but John Wall is like our guy. Like, we're keeping him. And then we have the version where he comes back, averages like 11 points per game. They trade him because of his contract, and he really never finds himself back into the NBA. I don't think he's going to come back bad like that. But it could happen with all these players on the list. So now let's get to number 3, which is Blake Griffin. He's also being paid a lot of money, which is why whenever people play NBA 2K, and whenever they have Blake Griffin on their team, they're like, yeah, you know, we got to trade this guy. You know, he's not very productive. Blake Griffin is pretty good. His athleticism is amazing. But when he comes back, because right before the 2019 playoffs, he got injured. So when he comes back, he might come back as, I don't think he's going to come back as like an MVP candidate as he was back in the day with the Clippers. Or I don't think he's going to come with his like best season of his career. But I think he's just going to come back, average like 19 points per game, be like a pretty good player, or he's going to be really bad and the Pistons are going to trade him. Well, then Blake Griffin's career would be over. And Boogie's career, his career might just be over right now. And our next player on the list is going to be LeBron James, who is playing like crazy this year. But next year he's going to be 1 year older, and people always say maybe we'll get him next year, but there might not be a next year for LeBron James, if you know what I'm trying to say. It's those players like LeBron James who, you always have to wonder what will happen to them next season. Because as of right now, LeBron James is playing probably some of the best basketball he's ever played since 2016. Like, LeBron is on a mission this year. Like, he's motivated to be the best of the best. But in order to do that, you have to extend your prime. Now, everyone this year, they're like, oh yeah, LeBron's going to be washed up. The only reason they knew the Lakers were going to be good is because they thought LeBron's going to come back decent. They didn't think he was going to come back MVP good. But he came back MVP good. He didn't win it, which I think personally he should have. But that's your opinion. So you could decide that. But I personally just think maybe it'll be over for Bron, next year. If LeBron James can't be the best player next year, then his career is basically over. But we expect that because he's old. So now let's get on to our next player, Chris Paul, a.k.a. CP3. Chris Paul, he didn't have an amazing season this year, but he had an all-star caliber year. And he carried this young Thunder team all the way to the playoffs, when there's a 0.2% chance that they actually made the playoffs. And they made the playoffs and forced the Houston Rockets to 7 games. And being one block away from the semifinals. And trust me, that was heart-crushing for me as a Lakers fan, because I wanted to face the Thunder, because I knew the Rockets had a chance of beating the Lakers. And I wanted to see CP win, if you know what I'm saying. But, Chris Paul, I don't think anything's guaranteed for him next year. He might get traded to, a lot of trade rumors about this, but he might get traded to the Bucks. If he gets traded to the Bucks, that'd fill a hole, but only if he stays in his prime. If he exits his prime next year, and then he's just going to be, being paid $41 million a year, but doing nothing. So he's going to have to come back next year like he did this year and just prove all the haters wrong and push to be an all-star again, if not one of the better players in the league. So the Thunder need Chris Paul, but there's a lot of other teams that would like to have a point guard like Chris Paul. So that's the end of the video. If you liked the video, then press the like button. Make sure to comment something, and yeah. ASMR!
How you like your double chin, big boy?
Outro.